Hi everybody and welcome back to Tales of Wanderlust. I'm Cass. Jasper is here running around in the snow and we are enjoying this year's first snowfall. So that means I'm going to be making some soup tonight. Hopefully my mouth warms up. I'm having a hard time talking. But if you are interested in a bone broth soup recipe, stay tuned. Now Jasper and I have been out walking for a while, and when I came home, I couldn't find Napoleon at first. He has moved all the blankets and made himself a little cocoon. Good morning. Hi. All right, I'll let you be. All right, for the bone broth soup, we are going to need bone broth. Usually I just get the stuff that comes in the regular cardboard box container thing, but this local Walmart had Zoop's good, really good bone broth. We're gonna give that a try. It also has a nice jar, so any of the leftover soup I can actually pour back in here and store it in the fridge, which is really convenient. And then the rest of the ingredients really depends on what you have in your fridge. So the nice thing about the soup that I make here in the base camp, it's really good with using whatever leftovers you have. So I have some pretty old and sad broccoli, so that's gonna go in the soup. I have some carrots that were at the top of the fridge, so they are very frozen. I have half an onion from something I cooked yesterday, some butter and garlic, because you can never go wrong with that. Spinach I use for my daily smoothies. And then this I did buy just for the soup. So this time I'm going to do little mozzarella cheese raviolis. So that's what I'm gonna put in the soup this time around. I have previously taken just a chicken breast, grilled it up, some green pepper, and then some spaghetti or angel hair noodles. And I've put those into the bone broth and made a pretty good soup with that as well. So the nice thing with this is you can really use any kind of pasta, any kind of vegetables, different seasonings that you enjoy, throw it in there, taste it, test it, and really make whatever kind of soup you are interested in. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I had some extra water in my pot. I'm going to put that in a mug and make some tea to warm me up, mostly because you don't ever want to waste some water when you are boondocking, and I'm going to need that pot in order to make the soup. So I'm just gonna make some of my favorite tea here. Perfect. And that is all ready for my soup broth now. Turned off the element and I still need the element. I'm gonna turn that back on. All right, so with the bone broth, we're just going to shake it up and then pour all of it right into, smells very bone brothy. Pour all of it right into there. So that we just need to warm up. I do put the lid at an angle because I've put it on all the way before. I've gotten distracted cutting up vegetables and then it starts to go over. So put that at an angle. Remove the sous chef. And then in this pan, I'm going to saute up some of the vegetables, mostly because sauteing them adds in an additional flavor, and I just really like that flavor. It also gives me the opportunity to saute the vegetables in butter, and I love the flavor of butter in the soup, so it's a good way to get all of that together and then dump it in the soup. I have not sharpened my knives in a while, so they're pretty dull. Hopefully that's sharp. I can't forget my dog poop bag over the smoke alarm. Otherwise I'm going to upset Jasper. So the first thing we're gonna do is take the leftover onion I have. You can see it is the work week because I have my whole monitor set up. So the back of the monitor actually rests on the windowsill, and then I can pull the cutting board all the way forward. And it gives me about this much room to cook. So weekends are definitely a lot easier to cook in here, but you do what you gotta do to live in a small space. Now the onion I am going to dice up because remember, it's a soup. I am not going to be blending the soup, so whatever size I put into the soup is going to be the size that I'm eating, and I don't want to be eating big chunks of onion. So we're gonna try to go dice. Normally I get out my chef's knife for this, but I really don't want to make more dishes than I have to. So we just make it work. So there's the onion. Put the heat on the pan to like a medium low. I took a cooking class through a website called Traveling Spoon, and it's fun because you can take classes with people from all over the world. And she taught me a trick where you take the salt and you put it on your onions in the butter and it helps them brown faster. I have not scientifically proven that it makes them brown faster, but at least in my mind, it does. So we're gonna add the salt now, try to get those to brown up. I'm also gonna add in some pepper. I'm also feeling like a little bit of spice. So this smoky chili, which is what I use on my chicken, so it might look familiar. I'm gonna put some of that in there, and then some smoked paprika as well. Again, you can really just use whatever is in your kitchen. The last time I made this, it was a completely different flavor of spices. So use whatever you'd like. If you want a really good Italian style, put in some Italian seasoning. Oh, that smoked paprika. I love smoked paprika. We're gonna mix all that up together. Just remember how much spice you have on this is going to be diluted once you put it in all of that broth. Now for my kind of soft broccoli. It has been in my fridge for I think a week and a half now, so it's a little mushy. But the nice part is when you put it in a broth, you can't tell. The other thing I've noticed after having the PRK eye surgery, my eyes are a lot more sensitive when I'm cooking. I don't know if it's the spice or if it's just the fact that onions are cooking, but my eyes are starting to water. For that reason, I miss my contacts, man. All right, now this is getting to a boil, so we're gonna turn it down to simmer because it's warm now, and then we can just start adding things in as they are ready. That is a lot more broccoli than I usually do, but it was getting old. I needed to use it. So instead of wasting it, we're just gonna put it all in there. For the baby carrots, this is going to be fun because they're really, really solid. I don't saute them, I just throw them directly in the soup. These carrots, since they're frozen, I'm gonna throw them in now and give them a few more minutes compared to everything else. So they need some time to defrost. Just like the broccoli, I like to do the carrots in little bite-sized pieces. That's why I get the baby carrots, because then all you have to do is chop them straight. You don't have to worry about cutting the thicker section, the smaller section, all of that. It's really nice and easy to do. All right, quick break from the carrots. The broccoli and the onions are looking nice and brown. I'm gonna throw the garlic in now. When you're sauteing, you really don't wanna put the garlic in too early because it will burn and then you lose all of that garlic flavor. So I like garlic. I'm gonna put a lot in. Put however much you want. And then I'm gonna go ahead, stir it around. I'm only gonna let the garlic saute for about a minute or two, and then I'm gonna put all of it into the soup. All I'm gonna do is put these right next to each other, pull them in close, and dump. And while the cast iron pan is still hot, I'm gonna take a paper towel and wipe some of this out. And then if my spatula is a little cleaner, I'm gonna scrape off some of the stuff that got stuck at the bottom. So like the broccoli, the onion, the garlic. It's not all coming off. So I'm gonna take the tiniest amount of water, put it in there, you can hear it. And then I'm going to wipe out the remainder. Since I used water in there, it does de-season it a little bit. So pan is still warm. We're gonna put a little bit of olive oil in there. Take the paper towel, push that oil all the way around, and my cast iron is clean. Now that might not be the official way to clean cast iron pans. There's a lot of different ways out there. There's a lot of articles out there, but I grew up using cast iron pans and that is how my dad taught me to clean it. So it's what I've always done. I've had this skillet since I started living on the road, so it seems that it works fine. All right, the rest of those in there. All right, stir those around. I want to get this now to a light boil. That way I can put in the pasta, because the pasta does have to boil for usually like 5 minutes, 3 minutes. While we do that, we're gonna clean things up a little bit here. My poor computer monitor is covered in broccoli. All right, things are cleaner. While that is coming back up to temperature, I am going to de-stem some spinach so we can put the spinach in there. This soup is already really thick because I put so much more broccoli in. So I'm gonna put spinach in, just not as much as I normally would. One of my favorite soups is just a straight bone broth, and then you take some peppers, you make it into a bisque, and then you do just spinach and the ravioli, and it is so good. So that's why I kind of default to putting spinach in my soup. I just kind of rip it into bite-sized pieces. I also remove the stems because I don't like chewing on the hard stems. Just think about when you're eating a soup. When you take a spoonful, how much do you want on your spoon? Some people like a lot more broth and less contents. Some people like a whole lot more vegetables and meat. So it just really depends on what you like, and then you can customize it from there. The spinach you do want to put in near the end because you can overboil it. I always do this right before the ravioli, and then both of those things are only in the broth over the heat for a few minutes. All right, stir all of that up. All right, now for the ravioli. But before we do that, I want to do the first taste of the soup and see how it tastes, how the seasoning is. I've also never had this broth before, so I'm really curious what it tastes like. It has a little more flavor than soup broths from the, I can never think of the word, the cardboard box, but honestly not that much more. So it might have better ingredients in it. I've never actually compared. We're gonna have to add a lot more seasoning. So the good news is the difference between that $6 bone broth and what's usually like a $3 bone broth isn't that much of a difference. So these are cheese ravioli. The only reason is the store I went to only had cheese. I've used prosciutto raviolis before. You can use the shrimp filled ones, the lobster filled ones, whatever you would like. There's probably more ravioli than I should have put in there. So that's about half the bag. Now the soup needs a lot more salt. Remember, you can always add more. You can't take it out. I've made that mistake many times before. We're gonna do more pepper. I'm gonna do more smoked paprika. I have a Mrs. Dash onion and herb seasoning. Put some of that in there. All right, let's see. It's getting a lot better. I can taste the pepper. There's a little bit of bite, so we're not gonna do any more pepper. There still isn't enough salt, which is weird because there was salt in here. It doesn't have much salt flavor. I can definitely taste the smoked paprika in there. Then we're gonna add a little bit more of the onion, but not much. Stir that up, and we need to let those raviolis sit there covered and cook through. So let's let that sit there for about 3 minutes, and then we're gonna taste it again and see if we need any more seasoning in there. All right, it has been 3 minutes and they're looking cooked. So we're gonna turn that down to a simmer. Take it off this high boil here. Oh, it looks good. But looks can be deceiving when you have no seasoning. It kind of rhymes. We're gonna do a little bit more of the onion seasoning. When I say a little bit, it's about a little bit. Now, I like my soups really flavorful. Hey, when I take a bite of the broth, I want to have a whole flavor profile in there. Some people like the flavor of the bone broth. So the seasoning is really going to be up to you. So definitely taste it along the way and really personalize it to what you like. That's good. That is really good. Mrs. Dash saved the day. Now in my tiny little kitchen, I do carry 1 ladle, and all I use it for is soups or pancake mix. And metal bowls are really hot when you put soup in them. And there we go. Now I'm gonna curl up in bed with Jasper and Napoleon, probably turn on some TV. And the nice part is this jar, I can just spoon it all back into there when it cools down. I'm not gonna do it while it's this hot though. So if you're curious what other recipes I make while living on the road, check out the playlist of the different cooking recipes. If you have any questions, comment below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye everybody.